Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good afternoon and good morning to those in other countries. As Tita Tess mentioned, I am the daughter of Uncle Chris's sister. I've always considered Auntie Marivic and Uncle Chris my fourth and fifth parent because I grew up in a household with them. So I grew up with my mom and my dad and Auntie Cora, Uncle Chris's oldest sister, and Uncle Chris and Auntie Marivic. And we would, every night when I was still a child, we would gather around for dinner in Auntie Cora's round table. And I was just a little girl, so I didn't really care about what the adults were talking about in this round table. So I only remember impressions of it, and one of the things that comes to mind is, my Uncle Chris and my Auntie Cora and my mom, they come from Bohol, so sometimes they speak Bisaya in the table. And I guess back then, Auntie Marivic, her Bisaya was not yet so developed because they haven't moved to Bohol yet. So I remember occasions when there would be a discussion in the round table and then in the dinner table, and then someone would say a joke in Bisaya, and Auntie Marivic would turn to Uncle Chris and say, "What does that mean?" And of course, Uncle Chris would proceed to explain it in such a way that the whole table would laugh. It's just a small memory, and I didn't even realize that I had it until I myself started learning a new language and finding myself in social situations where I'm in a group, they're speaking German, I don't understand everything. And because of this small memory of Auntie Marivic, I get the courage to ask, to turn to somebody and ask, what does that mean? Without shame, and in fact with a little bit of pride, because it reminds me of Auntie Marivic, and it makes me feel a little bit more like her in a way. Another memory that has stuck to me over the years is again a memory over this dinner table. But this time I was an adult already. I was doing my master's in economics in UP. Uncle Chris and Auntie Marivic, they were already in Bohol. They had moved to Bohol to manage the school. But occasionally they would come visit Manila. When they do, we would gather around the table again and talk about everything. And usually Auntie Marivic and Uncle Chris, they would of course tell us stories about the school, about the place that they were currently organizing for the school, and about DLP, Dynamic Learning Program. And I remember once we were so excited about this DLP, what they were talking about. I learned a lot about the DLP over these dinners, and my dad and I, being economists, we had this idea of measuring the impact of DLP on student outcomes. It basically involves a randomized control trial, which means that a student would then be randomly assigned to a DLP or non-DLP class. And Auntie Marivic, she didn't like this idea. She didn't approve of it. She told us, how could I, in good conscience, keep any student from getting the best education for him, just for him or her, just to prove that my DLP program is effective. Auntie Marivic, the person that I look up to also as a very brilliant scientist, showed me in this moment that she is a scientist only second and a mother first, a mother to her students. Her students were always the first priority to her. That was a big learning experience for me, and I always go back to this moment whenever I'm faced with difficult decisions. What would Auntie Marivic do? The last few weeks when Auntie Marivic was in the hospital and Uncle Chris was so diligently updating us on her status, it was slowly becoming clear that the complications were backing all her great doctors in a corner. But despite that, Uncle Chris always said, miracles happen. And I latched onto that. Last few weeks, I kept saying, miracles happen in my prayers. But yesterday, when I saw the outpouring of love from so many people, I realized that Auntie Marivic and her life's work, this is the miracle. And all the seeds that she planted in our hearts, in the hearts of her students, these are her miracles. I don't know if Uncle Chris is here, but Uncle Chris, if you remember, you convinced Auntie Marivic to build a nation with you. I think that even though we lost her too soon, all the seeds that she sowed, I think they will take root, and I believe they will grow, hopefully, into the nation that you envisioned, even long after she's gone. Thank you, Auntie Marivic.